So, and continuing to look at some of those spelling rules that tend to have a lot of exceptions and things that we don't, nothing in the English language, particularly when it comes to spelling, is set in stone, as we come to find out. And as I mentioned yesterday, because the root of the English language is a Germanic language, it is not like or Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, Portuguese. Some of those others are Latin-based. They're called Romance languages. They come from Latin. As a Germanic language, and one that has spread like a disease. It also has taken it assimilates a lot of words from other languages, and that, for one reason, causes issues when it comes to spelling. Right? If something's spelled differently in another language or has a different origin, then we have some other rules that tend to apply. So we tend to modify our rules for spelling quite a bit, and that's where we'll get some more work on today. Yesterday, of course, we did the I before E rule, which has a ton of exceptions, and we'll talk about adding endings and silent E's today.
Hi, I'm going to show you the lesson on adding endings. Understanding the rules for adding endings will help you spell better. This lesson covers words with a silent E, words that end in Y, and when to double consonants.
Yeah, so let's go here, take a look.
English has so many different spellings for the same sounds, or spellings that just don't seem to make sense, like O-U-G-H. Just look at this sentence. I thought that we'd take a thorough look through some tough spellings. It's crazy. The spelling O-U-G-H has like 11 different pronunciations. When I was tearing my hair out trying to figure...
That's not even all of them, right? So I thought that we'd take a thorough, I guess, yeah. So look through and tough. So like tough, rough, you actually have an F sound. Dough, right? You just
English
have like
spelling,
an O.
I decided to take a break from all the different letter sound combinations and look at something more straightforward. I found that one of the most reliable parts of English spelling is its rules for the ends of words. Learning rules for endings helped improve my spelling, and it was nice to have some clear rules. So let's take a look at those spelling rules about adding endings to words.
All right, let's take a look.
First, let's talk about the silent E that's at the end of some words. A silent E appears as the last letter of a word. It's not pronounced, but it usually changes the way a vowel is pronounced. For example, look at the word gap. It's pronounced with a short A sound, ah. But when you add an E to the end, it changes to gape, with a long A sound, A. The E is a silent E. Here are a bunch of other examples of words where a silent E changes the pronunciation.
Right, so just taking a quick look there. Even with names, or I mean, I guess you have like Pete Moss. That's but they capitalize it, so they're looking at a proper name. Yeah, so you put that E on the end, and it changes the vowel sound in the middle. So Kate, fate, sight, kite, cube, coat, time, cute. Right. So that's a pretty standard rule. Again, there are maybe a few exceptions, but fairly consistently, as a rule, when you, especially with these short words, if you add an E, and obviously, of course, then you have a completely new word. So let's keep going.
You can recognize a silent E at the end of a word because it's silent. Now, when you add an ending to a word that has a silent E, what you do depends on whether the ending starts with a consonant or a vowel. If the ending starts with a consonant, keep the silent E. If the ending starts with a vowel, drop the silent E. For example, the word love has a silent E. If you add the ending ly, that starts with a consonant, so lovely is spelled Lovely. But the ending able starts with a vowel, so if you add that ending, you remove the silent E. Lovable is spelled Lovable. Here are some other examples using the words measure, judge, hope, and state. Now,
So just kind of reinforcing that. If the ending you're adding starts with a consonant, you keep the E. So even with, if you think about past tense words with the end in E, so loved, measured, judged, hoped, stated, right? You're just adding that one letter, but it is a consonant in that case. It's a D. Again, lovely, right? So, but in some cases, you have a vowel for that suffix, right? We talked about affixes, things that go at the beginning of a word, things that come after a word. So a suffix is letters you add to the end to modify the meaning. So if it starts with a vowel, then you remove that E. Why? Because it's English.
aren't too many exceptions to this rule, but there are a few that you'll want to watch out for. For example, some words ending in UE don't follow the rule. When you add ment to the word argue, you remove the E. Argument is spelled Argument. And if you add ly to true, you get truly, Truly. Noticeable is an exception too. If you add able to notice, you get noticeable, Noticeable. And if you add us to courage, you get courageous, Courageous. If you add th to nine, you get ninth, Ninth. But most of the time, you can rely on this rule.
Most of the time. Now, like I've always said, sometimes this is a matter of exposure. So let's keep going here. And sometimes you'll notice also, like with courage, you actually are changing the pronunciation some. So, while you say courage, you sort of put more emphasis on the A in courage with courageous, right? So courageous. So that's one of the reasons we see a little difference there.
It's time to try out your spelling knowledge. Which word in this sentence is misspelled?
Okay, let's see here. So the excitable man stated that he needed a new measurement because his extremely expensive tape measure was broken. So our misspelled word is B, says Nautica. Yeah, excitable, right? So in that case, we have that able ending, starts with a vowel. So we need to kick that E out of there to make it excitable. Why do we do that?
Job.
Because it's
The word
English.
excite ends in a silent E. When you add the ending able, which starts with a vowel, remove the silent E. The correct spelling is excitable, Excitable.
Right. And
Now let's talk about words that don't end in an E. Well, to be specific, I want to talk about words that end in consonants. Sometimes the last consonant in a word gets doubled when you add an ending, and sometimes it doesn't. Luckily, there are some rules for when to double the consonant. First, in one-syllable words that have a single vowel followed by a single consonant, double the consonant when you add ed, est, or ing. For example, the words win, grin, fit, and con all end in a single vowel and a single consonant. So you double the end consonant in winner, grinning, fittest, or conned. When a word is more than one syllable, you need to look at two things.
So just this kind of follows that rule about adding the silent E at the end. So here you double up on vowels that sort of put space between that silent E. Well, it's not a silent E in some cases, but to prevent the E from changing the, if you only have a single letter in between your silent E and the vowel that comes before it, it's going to change the sound of the vowel. So by doubling the letter, that prevents that first, because if you just had WINER, that would be whiner instead of winner. GRINING would, theoretically be grinding. Fittest, right? FITEST would be fightest. Coned, which is actually a word. So you could see, CONED. By doubling up the consonants there, you prevent that.
Fittest, or conned. When a word is more than one syllable, you need to look at two things. Does the word end in consonant, vowel, consonant? Is the stress on the last syllable? If the answers to both questions are yes, then double the consonant when adding ed, or ing. Okay, let's stop a minute to talk about stress. The stressed syllable is the one that sounds louder when you say the word naturally. To find the stressed syllable, sometimes it helps to say the word with one syllable extra loud. Does it sound right? For example, if I say begin, that doesn't sound as natural as begin. The stress is on the second syllable. The words begin, emit, forget, and deter all end in consonant, vowel, consonant with the stress on the last syllable. So you'd use a double consonant for beginner, emitting, deterred, and forgetting. There's one exception. A W at the end of a word like renew or bestow isn't really considered a consonant. You wouldn't double it.
Yeah, most of the time that's hard consonants that are that rule applies to, but particularly as it says, right? So it's that same rule. It's just for that second syllable when the emphasis is on it, right? So you need to still double your. And I just noticed they have begin, beginner, emit, emitting, and then they have the next two out of order. So forget, and then they have deter next to it. Deter, they have forgetting next to it. So, all right, let's see what our next one is here.
The correct spelling of the word admit with the ending ing.
So now we actually get a different little type of exercise here. So we're adding ing to admit, and based on the knowledge there, let's see, we have a vowel starting ing. So based on our rule and the fact that we have a vowel right before a consonant at the end of the word, we're going to add another T and make that admitting.
Great job!
Yep.
The word admit has the stress on the second syllable and ends in consonant, vowel, consonant. When you add an ing ending, you should double the last consonant.
Right, let's keep going. And this was a little more straightforward, as she said.
Now let's talk about words that end in the letter Y. Sometimes when you add an ending to a word that ends in Y, you change it to an I, and there is a rule to follow. The first part of the rule is simple. If you add an ending to a word that ends in a consonant plus Y, change the Y to an I. For example, the word penny ends in NY. So if I want to add the ending less, I get penniless. PENNILESS. If I add an ending that starts with a vowel, it's the same. I could add the ending S. I'd get pennies. PENNIES. Here are some other examples. You can see that it doesn't matter how many syllables the word has. or whether the ending starts with a consonant or a vowel. But there are some exceptions. The main exception is when the ending is ing. You don't want a double I, so the Y doesn't change. So if you want to add ing to try, you get trying. Trying.
That's another good point. There's certain vowels, right, that we double, right? E's. You can see those all the time. Occasionally there are double A's, very rarely, but in certain like aardvark, right? You got two A's at the beginning and stuff like that. But I's, rarely are you going to see, if ever, I can't really think of a word off the top of my head where you have two I's together. So that splits that up.
If you add ing and li to horrify, you get horrifyingly. Horrifyingly. It doesn't matter that there's a second ending. When a word ends in a vowel plus Y, remember that the Y doesn't change, like in stayed, destroyer, joyful, or played. And there are a couple of exceptions to the rule, like dryness, shyness, and ladylike. But most of the time, if a word ends in a consonant and Y, the Y will change to I when you add an ending that's not ing.
That. My daughter just, she was overhearing the lesson and thinking about that two I sound, and she pointed out skiing, right? So SKI, the sport of, or skis. But if you're skiing, it's SKIING. But then I also mentioned, right, we're not changing a Y to an I. So the rule doesn't apply. But that is one case where you do see two I's together. So points for my daughter.
The correct spelling of the word lazy with the ending ness.
All right. So our rule here, right, we are going to change the Y to an I. Yeah, laziness. LAZINE. Where my cursor go? There we go. NESS.
The word lazy ends in consonant Y. When you add an ending that's not ing, you should change the Y to an I. The correct spelling is laziness. LAZINESS.
Okay, and
very good work on those.
Practice question time. So let's go ahead and take about 10 minutes and should give everybody plenty of time. Go ahead and work through our 8 questions there. And then we'll do a quick review about 220, 221 or so.
Is this I before E rule?
This is the next one. It's adding endings. focus. So let's go.
Thank you.
This meeting is being recorded.
So yeah, that's there for you. Always look at Google Classroom. Anything that I could supplement the class with, I put up on there. But anyway, we will continue on here. So the studious young man cursorily reviewed the data and found the wide variance in the responses worrying. So variance is the one we would need to change, right? Because with that Y, our root word is vary, and we'd have a vowel after that. So we're going to change that to I instead of very. And well, it's still variance, it's still pronounced the same way, but we're going to have the I there instead of the Y. Moving forward, spelling time. So revealed. Well, they just about spelled it for us right there. It's R-E-V-E-A-L-E-D. So we have a consonant at the end there, right? And as the rule applies, the word revealed doesn't end in a consonant vowel consonant, so you don't double the consonant when you add an ED ending. Wait. Word reveal, okay, because it's a double letter vowel. It's not a single letter vowel. Okay, children's aunt was coming to visit and it caused a lot of excitement. Their mother wisely reminded them to behave politely. So excitement, we don't drop the E, right? Because that's another case where we have a consonant starting our word extender. So excitement is the word we want to change. Make sure that we put the E after the T, right? The rule is since M-E-N-T starts with a consonant, the correct spelling of excite plus the ending ment is excitement.
Excellent. You got the
I'll just keep going. Okay, here Sheila controlled the trimmer well, but she deferred to her boss when he repeated that she shouldn't use it. Controlled, right? We need a double L to correct that. So that would be, yeah, C-O-N-T-R-O-L-L-E-D, because we have consonant vowel. Consonant, we would need the double letter. Dismayed. I spelled this one wrong because I wasn't paying attention. I fat fingered it. I didn't understand why I got a wrong answer, but D-I-S-M-A-Y-E-D.
What's the meaning of dismayed?
Dismayed?
Yes.
This word, so dismayed is like worried, having anxiety. I was dismayed about the election result, so yes, having, kind of a nervous behavior or anxiety about, receiving some information. Distraught, dismayed, very similar. Yeah, so when a word ends in a Y or ends in a vowel plus Y, you don't change the Y to an I. So there you go. Desirable. So that's D-E-S-I-R-A. Right? Yeah, because we've got a vowel starting our suffix, our addition. So we're going to take that E away. Go. In Emilio's geometry class, he learned about measuring volume in cubic centimeters. He is sometimes careless with solving math equations, though. And sometimes you'll notice, one of the rules I always say is like, if it looks weird, it's probably wrong. So measuring, right? We're going to drop that E there. And omitted.
Double T.
That's to have our second T, right? We're going to double up on our consonant. Well, as we have vowel consonant vowel. That would change it to omitted if we didn't have the double T in there, theoretically. And that.
Thank you for finishing the lesson. Do you think you improved your spelling a little bit?
All right, so, yep, there's now the spelling unit, there's only 2 lessons there, but it goes over some of those kind of difficult, rules that sometimes people will have a little more trouble with. So that's, the one thing to remember, with Y's, if it follows a consonant, you'll change it to Y if you're adding a ending. So fanciful, right? It's going to be Fanciful. If it's followed by, or if a vowel comes before the Y, you're just add your regular ending. And then with the I, or the vowel consonant vowel rule, you typically change the pronunciation of the vowel that comes before the consonant, depending on the silent E at the end. So you'll often need a double consonant there at the end. Any questions on spelling? Everybody's good? Yeah, and again, sometimes it's just a matter of exposure. I recommend, to try to get some extra reading in if you can. I know it's tough, when you're working and you have, children and everything, but if you could spend an extra maybe 15 to 20 minutes at night, like before you go to bed or something like that, to read an article or, pick out a book. I mentioned I'm working my way through all of the Witcher books. I spend about a half hour a night reading. If you can, sort of do that, that strengthens, your reading skills, your critical thinking skills, and particularly with something like this, encountering those words that you might have an issue with, when it comes to spelling. Yeah, so that's my tip for the day. There's no questions.
Is there any specific book for that can help us?
Was that a question?
I said, is there any specific book that can help us?
A specific book? Let me look into that. Are you talking about as far as like spelling goes?
Yeah.
I will look into that. Offhand.
No, sorry, not about spelling, about reading.
Oh, reading. I just anything. Just pick something that you have, that you would enjoy. If you have a hobby or if there's something that you want to read about. I'm not specific. Just the act of reading is going to help you improve those skills. So yeah, even anything that's online, but try to make sure, the only thing that I would suggest is to make sure that it's sort of, it has some duration to it, not just like, social media posts or something like that, but an actual article or like a chapter of a book or something like that. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll call it a day. You guys have a good weekend. Let's see. The 4th is what day? The 4th is Monday. Okay. So yeah, we will not be meeting on Monday. That's federal holiday. So you guys have a good long weekend, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. All right.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay.